Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the next Wasteless World Talks with Bill and Kevin and myself. And today's word, it is future. And because I have Bill on the top of the screen, Bill, you are first. If you close your eyes and you hear the term future, what came to your mind first?
I generally refer to myself as a futurist. So it's a subject that brings up many thoughts. The first is my wife's theory that time does not exist. So future would be a conjecture or something that we are imagining. Future, since I just had a birthday, I realize how fast time flies. And so we're getting to the future much quicker than I thought we would. The future means a lot of things to me, but those are the first couple. I'm looking forward to this discussion.
So, Kevin, you are next.
When I think of future, I think of two of my favorite quotes, and they're contradictory, but really interesting. The first is by Yogi Berra, who said, "The future isn't what it used to be," which I think is such a wonderful quote. And the second is, I don't know who said it, but it's a Russian quote where it says that we Russians have no problem predicting the future. We know exactly what's going to happen. It is the past that we find so unpredictable. And I think
love
that
it.
it's gorgeous, isn't it? And I think the interesting thing, this quote becomes relevant to everybody with the introduction of AI, because we will find that the past becomes less and less predictable.
It's very interesting. Very interesting. I have a discussion in the noontime about it. I have an architect and a lot of people at this time. And it was really, really interesting to see the connection. And one of the topics was that the way how we think about future change with time. When we are young or children, it's a very different than to the one which we have right now. Was there any moment in your life when you really changed significantly the way how you look at future? You can start with you, Kevin.
I think not any specific time. It is a gradual change in perception that the future, from being a long way off, becomes extremely close the older you get. Because as you get older, somehow your horizons feels like it's starting to narrow in. And it's really difficult to try and keep this perspective wide. And I think as it narrows, the future becomes closer.
You, Bill?
Okay, a short story. Bad divorce 25 years ago. Started dating. First date in 25 or 30 years. I get out of the shower, and right across from the shower is a full-length mirror. And I don't recognize that person that I'm looking at. The hair is gray, these things are growing, the belly's a little bit bigger than it used to, and I stared and I stared and I stared, and I could not break myself from looking at, and when did that happen? When did that happen? So time went by so quickly. When did that happen? And the only way that I was able to break my stare from this old man that I'm looking at was to know that she was just getting out of the shower too.
That's a nice story.
But so when you ask if there was a time, I that's what comes to my mind.
I think the interesting thing.
Yes, Kevin.
So I was just going to say, you think that we three are now, all of us, our future selves. You know, but
No.
all that age that we are.
I'm not my future self. No, my future self was all planned out. And in actuality, every day is different and is a surprise.
I am frequently being asked in workshops and webinars or interviews what I will say, or what will be the advice to my younger self, what it should be, what he should change. What will be your advice to your younger self from the perspective of now?
I would not say a blessed word. Nothing. If I say, don't be so serious, if I say, I still don't know what I would do differently. Sorry, no answer.
And you, Kevin?
Actually, I have advice to my future self rather than my past self. And, and that is keep going, don't stop.
Keep going.
Yeah. You know, my answer is don't change. Be who you are. Because only so you will become me. It is so. We cannot change the past, we can change the future. And I like the advice of Kevin. You know, it's exactly that. We can be who we are because we do not have anything to shame for. You know, we are not perfect, it's fine. We may be gray and what? You know, the gills are not attracted anymore to our bodies, but our brains. That's of advantage.
So what you said in the beginning about the Russian saying, Kevin, as my wife and I are finishing her biography, and we go back to family history, going back 8 or 10 generations. The Russian way of looking at it, you know, the point was made that the history is continually being rewritten. So you don't, not only do you not know for certain, for example, how many people were killed in Russia in the Second World War? So they've never gone back to figure that out. Or, you know, lots of questions, but the history just keeps getting rewritten depending on who's in power and what they want to emphasize. So it's very difficult to say what really happened. So, for example, recently, how many people died from COVID? See, they can't answer that question. Can't answer that question. History is very difficult. The future, I think, is much easier to see because we can see the trends and we can see all these data points that you can link together to see where the future is going.
You know, I have a very interesting discussion recently with my dad. We do not talk too much. I'm not so frequently there. And we have a discussion about, we touch Russia as well and the war and currently. And he said, Michael, you know, I'm just now thinking, what can the Russian do? Produce, I mean, produce. My father is 81. So, and he said, they can do only weapons. They have never really go into other businesses. Their cars, okay, here is a ridden Rada, the old car, but it was, we call it a tank in my country because it's really, you cannot break it almost. And he said it looks like that Russia and Korea, North Korea, they do exactly the same. They make probably weapons, great one maybe, not sure, but they don't have any other business. So why should peace be good for them if they are good in another brand? And it was very interesting thought by him, to be honest. And he wasn't in a war, he was born in a war. 1942, but he lived in all the time communist, and he spent most of his life as a miner, so electrician in a mine generally. So it was not an easy life, but it was quite interesting. And you are right. So we are writing the history, and AI, Kevin, you hit the point. AI is excellent in that. The volume of images, pictures, videos, whatever, from the time where no photography exists and nobody care about it because the picture looks so real. The volume is really unbelievable big.
And I think that in a way, the danger is it's not so much the visual changes that we can spot, but it's the written changes. So AI will dilute the truth of the past. It will change the past. And that is really, really a dangerous thing, because at some point we will lose our grip on what really happened and what has been made up by AI unless we control it.
And already now it is out of control. So even the creators do not know how it works. So
No.
we must be really, we still can be humans. That's the point. That's the only point what we can do generally.
But I think it's really interesting. In our previous discussions, we talked about what possible threat or benefits AI could have to our future. And none of us realized that it's more of a threat to our past than our future.
That's right. That's right. So
one quick thing about Russian production. 150 years ago, they used to produce composers and poets. But if you look at the lifespan of a Russian composer and the alcohol consumption involved, you can understand why they don't bother anymore. That was a dangerous occupation.
That's an interesting observation. Mm-hmm.
I think one of the last one, which I do remember, was Vysotsky. So the singer, who was a protest singer. And when I was in Russia, it was 1986 for 1 month, generally working there. I was a student. It was quite interesting. They took us to the grave of Vysotsky. I have never seen a grave with so many flowers on there. It was a huge hill of flowers. And that was in a time of Gorbachev, so perestroika. It was really, I was exactly at the time in this place. And they said 1 year ago, not a single one can be there. Even the grave was hidden somewhere. Nobody knows where it was. So the change was significant. But looking currently at the development, even I think that the AI is rewriting already the current time, not only the history, but it's rewriting today, what's happening today, because tomorrow it should look like it never happened. You know, do you know whether this Boeing shuttle already was launched or not? It was delayed. Then I lost the connection, and I don't know whether it was launched or not at the end.
It was delayed, but I don't know how much of a delay.
It should be 1 day delayed. So, but it should be yesterday already launched. So I don't know. So you see, this is the confusion. So many informations, and today is tomorrow's yesterday. So the AI, I think it's already rewriting the current day because it will look different tomorrow.
Yeah,
So, yeah, go ahead.
No, sorry, Bill, go on.
So what will AI look like in 10 or 20 years? Will we even be questioning AI? Right now, AI is so much conversation about AI. And will we even be questioning it? Or will we have accepted it? What will it look like in 10 years? Hopefully all three of us will still be here in 10 years.
I don't know how will look AI at that time, but I will tell you what happened here in my country. At the beginning of 2020, or at the end of 2023, the government introduced that every single entrepreneur, no matter what you do, if you are entrepreneurship license, you have to have a digital mailbox. Simply they assign it to you. If you ask or not, they said it's the only way to communicate. Right now, if you would like to communicate, still you need to print papers and go somewhere, but you have this digital mailbox. And so I get ones. I have ones, but they make me another one. And I said, okay, so I will have two, all right. So I picked the papers with the passcode and everything, so I set it up. But I was never there. I never visited for almost a year. And just 2 days ago or 1 week ago, I realized I cannot reach it. I received an email that there is a message and I cannot reach it. So I have to go to the post office and ask for a new passcode to be generated, which I did. Okay, I'm used to that. The crazy part, I came back and I read the message. I logged again. I get a new password and whatever. And this message writes me, the government writes me, dear owner of the digital mailbox, you have to pay for it. You have to pay a duty for that. Like you pay for a building, you have to pay for a building which doesn't exist. And the amount is not small. And there should be 1.2 million entrepreneurs in my country, according to the statistics, which is 4 point whatever billion Czech crowns collected for nothing. And this is exactly what digitalization. So we have many fairy tales in which in some of them, the kings are very greedy, or the finance ministers, usually not the kings, but the finance ministers. And they think, what can be the next duty? And one of the ideas is, let's put tax on the air which the people are breathing. And that's exactly happening here. It's the digital air. They push you to have it. You cannot say no because they assign it to you. And just now you have to pay for something which you do not want, an amount which maybe you do not have. And if you will not pay, they will, I don't know, whatever do with your bank accounts or whatever, I don't know. So I fear that this is exactly the development for which the AI may be used. Because it's a tool like anything else. The issue is that the first who misuse or the first who use it in a wrong way are those who would like to make money out of it. And that's exactly the example. So Kevin, sorry to interrupt. You have an idea before or thought?
No, that's okay. I was thinking, while we can still look back at history to see what will happen with AI. When Gutenberg invented the printing press, this was like a revolution. And then for the first time, we could all print things rather than rely upon priests and monks. What happened was, as the printing press started to be spread throughout Europe, they weren't used for printing Bibles. They were used for printing propaganda and revolution and muckraking and problem making. It became a huge problem. The printing presses had to be controlled because there was so much lies, so much seditious material being produced. And I think this will be how AI spreads as well. It won't be spread to produce Bibles. It will be spread to produce mischief.
In much higher speed than the human can do. There exists already right now, I can send you the link, there exists, let's say something like Wikipedia or Encyclopedia, which is run by AI. And they are discussing a lot about Industry 5.0. This is why I know about it, because I receive all the time information. SciFeed, I think it's called SciFeed, and it's run by AI or ChatGPT. Every single answer is wrong. Every single one, not a single is correct. So from the perspective of Industry 5.0, I don't say that the same is with other segments, which I don't know about, but for Industry 5.0, every single one is wrong. And I don't know whether you have seen today in the morning, Financial Times published an article, and I have to, it's so sad that I have to laugh generally, that Shell never used the carbon credits for really reducing the emissions or something similar. They just collected the money and use it for funding of new crude oil, whatever, boring stations and whatever. And it was the finding of Financial Times with teams of thousands of people. I wrote it to them 9 years ago. I don't know. So if AI will be used to speed up this type of investigation, will be nice, but it will be used the very opposite way. It will say, no, never, we never did that. And it will find so many reasons why not, why they are the good ones, that it will be very hard to compete.
I think if that's the way things develop, then the future, in some respect, could be really bright, because then we really have to think for ourselves. So Bill's interest in critical thinking could become vital for all of our future, because we're all going to have to think critically and not accept anything we're given.
You know, we work, all three of us work together on the Declaration of Human Rights and Responsibilities. And there is exactly this right. So as the right to disconnect. And I think together with the critical thinking and the right to disconnect, there are two very, very important rights. Because if there will be the right to disconnect, I tested on the April 30, 24 hours without any connection. We discussed it last time. And it was great. And many people from all around the globe say, yes, I never thought it will be possible. It was possible. So let's do it every month. Let's prepare for this moment when the AI, where we need really to disconnect from the system, and system is AI and will be AI, because it will be AI controlled. And it doesn't matter whether we call AI or robot or whatever, there will be a new names developed, and already now they are being introduced new names to this. But still it will be the same. It will be the robot, just it will have a different face, different shape, different whatever. But it will be still the 1921 robot described by Karel Čapek.
So the global zero data day, have you picked what day of the month? If it's going to be monthly, is it going to be the last day of every month?
I don't know, to be honest, because I do not want to be any weekend. I would like to avoid weekends. And if I say the last day or the first day, it's all the time. Sometimes the risk that weekend will be there. I would like to have it somewhere in the middle, around 15th, but I don't know how to specify, to be honest. I really don't know.
Why do you not want a weekend?
Because weekend is standard, should be standard without data. And many says to me at the beginning, oh, Tuesday, if it will be weekend, I will be there. But if it's easy, then it's not the real challenge, you know. It should be challenging. It should be challenging us every day. It should be hard. And it was hard for me, you know, how frequently I post and whatever. I spent almost 17 hours a day on internet. I really said to me, no. And it was great. It was great.
Michael, could I suggest something?
Yes, please.
It should either be on the 1st, the 10th, or the 11th of the month, because then you have zeros and ones.
Okay. Let me check the calendar. I would like to make some easy system, and if there will be one weekend, it's fine. But let me check. That's quite interesting. Quite interesting. Thank you for the suggestion. Bill, how will look the near future for you? Let's say the next week.
So in our household right now, we have what we call a stomach bug. So yes, your eyebrows went up. So and my one grandson got it, then my other grandson got it, then the granddaughter got it, then mommy got it. Daddy got it, and now my wife got it. So the next week is we're just going to hang on for dear life, and hope that we survive until probably we'll have run its course by Friday or Saturday this weekend anyhow, and then we need to recover, do some laundry, restock the pantry, and so on. So near term for me is is closed into the family and not worldview. However, last night I did start to upload my wife's biography to the publisher. So um, so that we'll be working on that for this week also.
What about next month for you to make it a little harder for you, Kevin?
Ooh, the next month, the future not being what it used to be, I'm relying upon the weather to get warm because it's still bloody cold. Then I have to finish a movie synopsis, which should have been done by now. I haven't done it. And then in the next month, I have to start writing it as a full script, which is something I've never tried before. So that will be something very new for an old dog.
But as I know you and Bill and me, we love the empty pages.
Yep.
So it's great time expecting. I was just now, today in the morning, yesterday asked me one student from India whether I can help her with Industry 5.0 topics. And she sent me a questionnaire. And it was interesting. I received it, I start to write, and the questionnaire in Word start to fill the next word. So I think there was already some, because I know that Microsoft has some this add-on AI, whatever language module included. They call it Assistant, I think, something like that. And Copilot, they call it Copilot. And it looks like that in this Copilot, it was already included. It was disturbing for me. On the other hand, almost all the words has been correctly chosen.
The interesting thing would be to contradict it completely, to see what kind of composition you get, where you defy prediction.
Well, I will use the document and will try to rewrite it. You know, it was just quite interesting for me to see, because I haven't seen that for a long time. I saw it once or twice, but for a long time I did not. And just now, the interesting part was that every single word was right. It was a simple term. I will, and it had do, and so on. So it was nothing special, but it was quite interesting, especially for a guy with a bad grammar in English. So it was helpful. But I will not use it. Even if it's helpful, I will not use it. The same as AI. I do not use intentionally AI. Maybe I use it in Google search or whatever, if included, but I will not use it intentionally. You know, I would like to stay this unperfect guy as I am, because if I lose it, I lose everything, and that I do not want.
Oftentimes when we talk about the future, are you getting some feedback there? Okay. When we talk about the future, we talk about technology, and we've fallen into that same trap here. So let me ask the question. We talk about the future um, uh, just 1 year out, maybe, or 10 years out. What does the world look like? The world is changing. The power structure is certainly changing, and the commerce between countries is certainly changing. Both Russia and China have developed their own international banking systems. Uh, so, so they are, in my mind, they are self-isolating, like North Korea has done. Um, and so this international global trade will change considerably, and the West, including America, into 3 or 4 orbits. The West, Russia and a couple of its allies, China, is not going to join with Russia. They don't trust each other. And then third world, India and some of Africa and so on. How will the world power structure change? It's in the process of doing it right now. Nobody's going to vote on it. It's just going to morph itself. And what will it look like in 10 years?
But it's interesting, Bill, if you look back at the 20th century and the 19th century, the 19th century was the British century with the 1/3 of the world as its empire. The 20th century was the American century. The 21st century hasn't had any claimants on it yet. It's really interesting to see who will dominate this century.
I will
Lovely question. Lovely question.
I will do all that it will be human. Human century. You know, and do you know that there is a new human species evolving, and we are living in the time and we can watch it. It's called, I have it open here. Kevin, don't smile, you haven't heard it yet. It's called Homo incurvus. Incurvus. Homo incurvus. Do you know what does it mean?
No, could you spell it again, Michael?
Yes, let me. Incurvus. Incurvus.
No idea.
I can't see any Latin roots or anything in there, or
They are Latin roots.
anything. No hints.
They are Latin roots. Of course, it's a word which I invented, but they are Latin roots. And this is, you know the Homo erectus. And human incurvus is a man who, and he goes back to the ground. And this is the Latin word for exactly this. So I don't know how to say. But
and do his arms become shorter so that he can hold his device closer to his eyes?
Probably, because I spoke yesterday with a doctor, with a pediatrician, so a child doctor, and she said, when I told her, she said, but I see it in the children. She really see that we are not straight, but we are going this way. We never thought about the hands. I think for the hands, we need a little bit more time. But it is one of the part of evolution, you know. And somebody has to name it, so I name it. So they can save time.
And then, of course, we don't need very good eyesight because we don't have the horizon anymore. We just have a screen in front of us.
Ooh, no horizon anymore.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
So it's quite interesting to look for the future, not to take the technology, not to speak about the technology, but to look at human himself. You know, if we take all what we just said and described, so we will look from the head down like a kangaroo with a very short arms. It's not only a kangaroo, many have, which has very strong legs, they have a short arms. That will be, I don't know who has the bad eyesight. So we are one of the most inefficient beings on Earth. With our development, which I call digression, we become even worse.
I read once a report from some zoologists who were saying that the human species is already diverging into two separate paths. This is it's not technology based. I think it was more dietary based, but that the species is looking like it's branching.
What are the two branches?
I think one is would be a taller species than the other. So one is growing up, the other is starting to shrink down. And I think they say that it's always a lot of different reasons for it. There's climate reasons and dietary reasons, but they say that's the pattern between the two. One species will go up, the other will go down.
And you know, we say in Czech Republic, and you have probably the same, that the older people get smaller, they shrink, which means they come closer to the ground. Because I see it with my father, you know, my daughter is higher than me. I don't think I shrink so much, but already I'm not the smallest one, but I see it with my father and granddad and so on. So it's really visible. And I was thinking, you know, when we shrink with the age, many people get this posture. And what is interesting, our heads are not shrinking. So our body shrinks, the head is same weight. So of course it's much more heavier to carry. But with the young ones, they don't have this, they have this one. And can you imagine what will happen if they get older? They cannot even stand. If the feet did not start to grow to keep the balance. So
the question is then, does the DNA change? And will the tall branch and the short branch be able to produce?
Yeah, because there's no problem between different species of dogs. So you would imagine that for a
Okay.
while at least.
Good analogy. Yep.
So we look at future with a very interesting perspective. I never expected that we will come so far, but we did. And the important part, I think it was the part where you really named that AI and AI generally changed the past so frequently that we even don't know what to believe, even in our own lives. And that's very, very dangerous, because if we stop to see and learn from the past, we will do the same mistakes much more frequently than we did before. And that's the dangerous part. And we see it right now very clearly on the image of Palestine and Israel, where even the people there don't know what to believe. Not speaking about us living outside. So it is one of a unfortunately great example of what you just described, Kevin. So it's 1 minute left, and I would like to thank you for great time, great discussion. James apologized today because he has another meeting, but he said he will join us soon again. And I would like to wish everyone have a nice time, free of waste and wasting in all its forms. Stay safe, be free, and be human, aware of the fact that the future is in your hand, nobody's else. Thanks a lot, and see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.